Okay, we're rolling, I think. Today's the 20th of September. Anybody have any burning questions on the exam? I was trying to think what jumped out at me. I really think the big issues were from people using what I would consider an inadequate calculator. You know, these little simple calculators, they're tricky. You got to know how to use them. That's why I like the graphic calculators, because pretty well, you put it in there and you can look at it and there it is. Yeah, but we're not building anything, are we? Anyway, I think there was a few oopsies with the just the calculator you were using. So if nobody has anything they want to see, let's look at chapter 8, which is markups and markdowns. I don't too much worry about this break-even analysis because I don't, somehow what the book doesn't make any sense to me. So maybe I'll look at it one more time and see if my light bulb comes on. So let's just look at markup and markdowns right now. This end of the chapter thing that I gave you here, it uses, if you look on page, the one that's marked 226, left-hand column, very first item there, markups based on cost. Notice it says selling price, S, capital S, equals cost, C, plus markup, M. We will be using the S, the C, and the M quite a bit. So that's the basic relationship there. And it kind of makes sense. The cost is that the assumption is here you are a reseller, or somebody is a reseller, and the cost is what they paid for something wholesale, and the selling price is what they're selling it to the public for, and then the markup's the difference. And the markup we're going to use for what? Rent, utilities, paying employees, hopefully making a little money. Okay, so you see the meaning of S, C, and M. So let's go through this. Now there's two ways of looking at this. These are two different. Let's see, Learning Unit 8.1 is markup based on cost. So in that case, cost is the basis of what you're doing. And if you go on over here a little bit, Learning Unit 8-2 is markups based on selling price. And I must admit, I can understand markups based on cost. In the book, it says, under the section on markups based on selling price, it says, many retailers mark up their goods on the selling price since sales information is easier to get than cost information. I do not understand that sentence, and I never have. Looks like to me you would know what you paid for something. That's the cost, wouldn't you? I don't know. So anyway, there's two different ways of doing this. So when you read a problem, look for whether it's based on cost or selling price. I don't know, we might just want to start working some problems. What do you think? Let's see if we can find some good problems. I guess I should have printed out the, I can do this. Let me get the book open.
Are we going to the end of chapter problems?
I hope so. If the various gods are smiling on us. So you should be able to log in your computer and find these. Oh, I haven't opened that up yet, have I? Dang, this is complicated.
I got my book out right here. I'm to the end of the problem.
I may run off, make copies of that real quick. Let's see here. I usually start with those word problems. Let's look at problem 820. Brian May is a real person, actually. Guitarist for Queen. Does not know how to price his signature antique cherry special that cost him $280. You all know what that little thing looks like an L is? It's a symbol for a British pound. So, 280 pounds to make. He knows he wants to make 85% markup on cost. What price should Brian May ask for the guitar? So, we're under the cost. And we're trying to find the what? Trying to find the selling price, and we know what it costs to make it. So let me write all this down. British pound. Pound sterling is another way of putting it. So problem 820, and we've decided what so far?
That he paid me 280 pounds.
C equals 208 and oh, excuse me. $280, and we want
85% markup.
on what? On cost. No, it's on the guitar, yes, but it's on cost. And what are we looking for? So we're looking for the selling price. Now, get this other, well, you've got a copy of this too, I guess. In the book should be page 226 and 227, the interactive chapter organizer. So look in this left-hand column here. See if you can find something that, some formula that has, it's based on cost, that has S, M, and C in it, and a percent.
Yeah, calculating selling price.
Now, let me show you something else here. Look right along in here where it says calculating selling price, which is what we're doing. It says S equals C plus M. Well, we knew that. Underneath that it says check. These things that they call checks, they're just as useful, sometimes more useful than anything else. So what's the check say there? Selling price equals cost times 1 plus the percent markup on cost. Wonder what the 1 stands for.
Whatever, and the C word that I can never say.
The 1 is the original cost. Remember we talked about that the other day. That's the original cost. And do we know the percent markup on cost? 85%. Now we got to turn that into what?
Decimal.
A decimal. So I think we can use that. So S equals, the cost, which we know, times the quantity, 1 plus 0.85, which is M. Let me move this up a little bit here. All right, is everybody okay with that? So we know what it cost to make. That was 280 pounds. We want 85% markup based on that. And the 1 is the original 280. So remember, we're trying to get the selling price here. So S equals, and this was 280, wasn't it? And you can add those two together if you got a simpler calculator. If you got a graphing calculator, you put all this in at once. So let's put it in. 280 times, put a multiplier in there, 1.85. And we get what? It's not dollars, is it? £518. Let's think about what we did. We know what it costs to produce the thing. We want to make 85% markup based on that price. Turn that into a decimal, add it to 1, multiply by the original cost, and you got the selling price. Okay? Everybody okay with that? Now, just think out loud here for a minute. Look at what I've got there. I'm going to say, well, what if he wanted to make 100% markup on cost? You're going to have 1 plus what? Which is, so 100% markup, basically you're doing what? You're doubling it. Very good. A 200% markup, you're tripling it. Okay? So does everybody remember where this 1 comes from? Okay? That's the original cost. Okay? And while I'm thinking about it, let's do this. Okay, today a pound sterling is worth $1.33. So, this is a real thing. In various times in my life, they've been worth almost $2. So, all right, is everybody okay with that? Well, let's see what else we got here. $22 is a different type of problem. Well, let's try 21. I know I try to usually do the even ones, but every once in a while you just got to do an odd one. Cecil sells golf hats. Good for Cecil. Or if actually, if you were in England, it would be Cecil. Really, it would. 8/21. Cecil sells golf hats. He knows that most people will not pay more than $20 for a golf hat. Okay? Cecil needs a 40% markup on cost. What should Cecil pay for his golf hats so that he can make that 40%? Okay? Anybody have any ideas? Well, actually, it's the same type of problem we just got through working. Let's take this and see what we can do with that. Let's go back over here and make sure that there's nothing that just pops right out for us. So we want something that's cost. Hey, look at that. What about this one right down here in the bottom corner? What's it say? Cost equals selling price divided by 1 plus % markup on cost. Let's write down here what we got. We know this. We know S equals what? $20. We also know what? We want how much? M equals 40%, which is actually 0.4. Oh, isn't it? And what are we looking for? We're looking for C. Okay, so now look over here at this interactive chapter organizer. Down in the bottom left-hand corner, cost equals selling price divided by 1 plus the % markup on cost. Doesn't that fit what we have here? By the way, you should add to the M on cost, because later on we're going to be looking at problems that's where a markup is based on selling price. So you need to qualify that. So I think we've got a formula there already in the proper form, don't we? Cost equals S divided by 1 plus M on cost. So does everybody see where I got that at? It's right there. Bottom left-hand corner. And how did I get there? I wrote down what I've got and also what I'm looking for. Then I went looking for a formula that's already in the right form, where what I'm looking for is on the left, everything else is on the right. And there it is. So let's fill in our numbers here. $20. And then down at the bottom, we're going to have 1 plus what? 0.4. So cost is, calculator says, nothing. You have to read it. Let me take a screenshot of that while y'all figure this out. Clear. So what y'all get? $14.29. So far, so good, isn't it? Now, think about the process here. I read a problem. I write down what I'm given. I write down what I'm looking for. Then I go try to find a formula where what I'm looking for is over here on the left, and the things I'm given are over here on the right. Okay? Now, I'm using this when we're working problems here on markup. This same concept goes for a lot of things. You write down what you're given, write down what you're looking for, and then go look for a formula. Now, every once in a while, you'll kind of come up short and you'll say, I'm missing something. Well, and I'm trying to think of a good example here, but there are situations where there's some sort of common knowledge that it's assumed that you know that it's not necessarily specified. So what kind of common knowledge would that be? The only thing I can think of now is how many hours are in a day? 24. We all know that. Do I have to write that down? No, we know that. So, and that's not the best example. But sometimes when you look at something, you'll say, "Glory, there's 5 things here. I'm looking for this. I got 4 left. I got 3 of them, and I can't find all 4." Well, think about, is there anything here that is just common knowledge that they wouldn't have to say out loud? Okay? So, this is kind of one of the keys to solving problems. Write down what you got, what you're looking for, and go look for a formula or a relationship. That's all a formula is. It just tells you the relationship between things. Okay? I'm having trouble today getting comfortable. Seems like everything I do anymore is just hard. All right. So what else looks good? Based on the selling, 822 is based on the selling price. Let's see if we can work another one or two of based on cost, and then we'll look at selling price. $823's got both. It says one way do the selling price based on selling price. Calculate the selling price based on selling price. The other one's based on cost. We'll go back and look at that. Well, how about 24? So 824, let's write down what we know. I'm a long way from this. Trying to write. 824. What are we given? Well, we got a 42% markup on cost, isn't it? Yep. Then we know what S is. S equals what? $9,655. And what are we looking for? Cost. Cost equals. So we need some sort of formula, hopefully based on, that has markup based on cost, has S, also has C, where C is on the left-hand side. By the way, there is a little distinction here. We really haven't run into it yet, but as you look at this, the interactive chapter organizer, notice your markup can be based or expressed in dollars or as a percent. Everything we've looked at so far has been a percent. Okay? You just have to read carefully. So if you see something that says dollar markup, that's just what it is. It's the markup expressed in dollars, not a percent. Now there's ways to switch back and forth if you need to. So what do we have here? We have S, M, and we want cost. What do you think we should use? I think so. I think it's the same one we used right here, isn't it? The one in this lower left-hand corner. Does everybody see why that would work for us? So we're looking for that. So we have a relationship here, a formula that says cost equals S divided by 1 plus percent M. I'm going to call that, well, I'm just going to put M cost on there. Okay? And now we can do what? Well, we can fill in our numbers. $9,655 is what we're going to sell this for. And 42% expressed as a decimal is what? 0.42. So here we're going to have 1 plus 0.42, which is 9,655 divided by 1.042. So the cost is, what'd y'all get? Nine. Oh. Don't ask me. Some sort of major main misfire there. Not unlike I've seen on on students' papers from time to time. It's like, where did that come from? So what'd y'all get? 4,000. $6,799. 30 cents. Don't forget that 30 cents. Everybody okay so far? We might want to go on over and look at the second option. Work a couple of those. By the way, for next week, the next chapter's on payroll. We're not going to do payroll. I don't know why we don't do payroll. Probably because it's covered in another class. Anyway, go on and look at chapter 10, simple interest. So let's see here. Let's get a new page and talk about this idea of markup based on selling price. Now, notice here I'm on the next page there, 227, still in the left-hand column. And about a quarter of the way down, notice it says calculating selling price. Well, actually, at the top of the page it says markups based on selling price. Now, in this case, selling price is the base. Okay? You can still write it like this. You can still use this information right here. Selling price is still going to be cost plus the markup. The difference is what this is based on. So look down. Well, let's just work a problem here and I'll show you what I'm talking about. How about 8? Well, that's an odd number. You know, it doesn't matter what type of problem I'm looking at. I can't find it in this. In these problems at the end of the chapter. See, 825 is the right type of problem, but I'd rather not work well, 822 should work. Let's look at 822. Macy's was selling Calvin Klein jean shirts that were originally priced at $58 for $8.70. Oh, this is just figuring a percentage, isn't it? Based on selling price, what is the percent markdown? Well, that's not exactly what I just got through telling you. Let's see if we can find one like that, and then we'll come back to this. All right, how about 823? This has you do it both ways. Brownsville, Texas boasts being the southernmost international seaport and largest city in the lower Rio Grande Valley. Ben, an importer in Brownsville, has received a shipment of Peruvian opals that he is pricing for sale. He paid $150 for the shipment. He wants a 75% markup. If he wants a 75% markup, calculate the selling price based on the selling price. So M here is
75.
okay. It's markup based on the selling price, so we've got to keep that in mind. So for 823, yeah. 823, what do we know? Let's see, cost is what? $150. All right, so we're also given the M on the selling, and that's what, 75%? Turn that into a decimal, okay? Now what we're looking for S. All right, let's go back over here to our end of the chapter interactive organizer and see if there's something there relating S, C, and M, where M is based on the selling price. Percent. Which is right along in there. Does everybody see where my thumb is? Let's see if that'll work for us. S equals C divided by 1 minus percent markup on the selling. By the way, how's that different than the one we used before? Yeah, this one is a minus. The one in the previous examples was a what? Was a plus. Okay. Interesting little distinction there, isn't it? You got to pay attention to these pluses and minuses. So let's see what we got here. If we put $150 there, and then 1 minus 0.75, so we're going to have 150 divided by 0.25, aren't we? S equals calculator, clear, 150 divided by 0.25. Boom. What'd y'all get? $600? Works for me. Let me make a copy of this. Screenshot. Paste. So again, we wrote down what we knew and what we were looking for, and we went and found ourselves a formula or a relationship that looked a whole lot like what we used before, except that's a minus instead of a plus. And the difference is, this is based on selling price, The other one's based on cost. Okay? So it does kind of make sense if you think about whether you subtract or you add. Based on cost is what you're starting with. To get a markup, you're going to add something to that. On selling price, you know where you're going. You're trying to figure out how you got there. So that's why that was going to be a minus. And that may not be the best explanation in the world. Let's see, is there any other problem here that looks like it's... What? Did we do all of what? Well, the other part of that one says do the same thing. The selling price based on cost. Well, we can do that. I'm not sure. It's easy. I'm not sure what that's going to... Well, let's do it, and then we'll talk about whether it tells us anything or not. Same problem. The last sentence says, calculate the selling price based on cost. So, just like before, this is still 823. So what do we know? We still know the cost, don't we? Okay. What else do we know? Well, the assumption is here we're going to do, it says 75%, doesn't it? Yeah. So 75% markup based on cost. Turn that into a decimal and you're going to get that. So we're looking for what? S equals. So let's go find ourselves a formula. Isn't this the one here in the bottom? The previous page down bottom corner? One we've used 2 or 3 times already because it's really handy. Cost equals S divided by 1 plus percent markup based on cost. So let's see here. Wait a minute. We want it in terms of S, don't we? Yes. Isn't that right above that? Let me fix this. S equals, it's right up above it. By the way, look at what I wrote here. See this? If, you remember algebra class? If I multiply both sides by 1 plus the percent here to solve for S, that comes over here. This part comes over here. Isn't that exactly what's right above it? Right there. So I just wrote down the wrong formula. Point is, sometimes when you're looking up formulas, you might have found this one first and you say, well, I'm looking for S and I've got that and I've got that. Everything I need's here, it's just not in the right form. That's when you do a little algebra. Okay? Now, we're lucky here, it's already done it for us. The book has. So let me erase this and we'll write down the equation that's already in the correct form. So S is what we're looking for, so we want it over on the left by itself. Cost, we know, times the quantity 1 plus the percent markup based on cost. So the cost is 150. And here you're going to have 1 plus 0.75, aren't you? So when you do that math, you get what? 150. What'd y'all get? Now, I think what the authors of the book wanted you to see here, is there any difference between 75% markup based on cost or 75% markup based on selling price? Is there any difference? There's a lot of difference, isn't it? $600 versus $260, $250. So it makes a difference. You got to pay attention to what you're basing your markup on. Okay? Because I want to sell, if I can, for this $600. I probably price it at $800 so I could come down a little.
I don't think they're cheap.
Negotiate. Negotiate. Okay? So that's pretty much how these go. While we do this, I'll put some problems out there, and I might go back and assign some of these on the previous page. See the difference between what you see on 229 and 230 and what we just got through working. What we were working there were word problems. The other ones, they call them drill problems. They basically give you a certain amount of information and you fill in the blanks. Okay? And it is a good, kind of a warm-up. So I'll give you some of these and I'll try to find 3 or 4 word problems to give you some practice on this, and also look at chapter 10. And have a good weekend.